Welcome back, everybody, to the Selling Portage podcast. I am one of your hosts, along with my co-host, Colin Doyle. How's everybody doing today?
That was uncomfortable. Let's not
Oh,
do that
man.
again.
Hey,
Let's not do that again.
let's do it again. It's the new intro. I'm going to talk like that, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay,
Anyway,
perfect.
Colin, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, buddy. I'm hanging in there. The Jets have clinched a playoff spot. I have secured my tickets for the entire playoffs. Hopefully, it's more than two. And
two games or two rounds?
two games. No, confidence, absolute confidence.
That's right.
Yeah. What is happening with you this week?
Well, this week we let me see here. We had some really nice weather this week.
What are you? Oh my God, this is nonsense today.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking in the future here. We are
Talking-
pre-recording this.
Yeah, this is a pre-recorded one. Full disclosure, we are indisposed for the week following. So we're actually recording two podcasts today. This one is kind of special because we have the mayor joining us.
That's right.
So who knows what happened the week before because we have already recorded. So,
Neither of us have a crystal ball here, so
that's right.
it's really hard to say.
The weather was great and everything is awesome, and we sold lots of things.
That's right. And what I will say, which I do know for sure, is we had a council meeting earlier this week with our new city manager, Nicole.
Now you are being presumptuous, but yes, this will have been Nicole's first meeting, and we cannot comment on it because it has not happened yet.
Correct.
Yeah, but we'll be there.
In the future, since we're talking about the future, we should rehearse these a little bit more beforehand.
Oh, there won't be a council meeting the week before this goes live.
Oh, do we not have a council?
After.
Oh,
yeah. The first or the second Monday in April is actually the 14th.
okay.
And it seems like we would have had it already because the first has already come and gone. So here we are presenting nonsense and false information to start off our show with the mayor.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
So
please welcome the mayor.
It's been a day, and yeah, I don't know. You want to start the whole thing over again?
No, I like this.
Good. 3 minutes in, and we've done not much. By this time next week, I will have sold. I will have 2 more sold signs going up, so that is good, both within the city. The market right now in the city, well, it is the spring market, despite winter keeps fighting back and dumping more snow on us, but spring market has started. The inventory is static, but what is happening is when 4 houses come on, 4 houses get sold.
Right.
So it's not necessarily the ones that came right on, but that just seems to be that it's an equal turnover right now. There's no buildup of inventory. So if you're just watching numbers, sometimes they can be misleading.
That's right. And for those of you with country properties thinking of selling, I have buyers who want a country property.
Don't we all, buddy? Don't we all? Actually, I have those, but I also have some, the ones in Portage seem to be what's hot. The rural properties surrounding Portage, equally hot, if not hotter, because there's so few of them. But as we get into the smaller communities outside, the markets, they're not going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going crazy. It's a very specific price point that seems to sell in those markets.
And there's just not a lot happening right now in that price point.
But within the city, things are good. Things are flying.
Yes, sir.
Well, we ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Sharilyn Knox. Everybody, join me in welcoming Mayor Sharilyn Knox, who also happens to be the Executive Director for Central Plains Cancer Services. Sharilyn, how are you doing?
I am well. Happy to see you too.
Oh,
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are flattered. Now, as we do on these shows, we like to get into someone's history. So everybody knows you're the mayor. Everybody knows what you do, but I want to get some of the backstory. So you are not a native Portager, but you are from not far from here. So can you tell us a little bit about your history? Born, raised, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. I was raised in Shoal Lake, Manitoba, up until grade 11. So Shoal Lake is northwest of Brandon, a little community of about 1,000 people. So not the one that Winnipeg gets their water from. And moved to Gladstone in grade 11. My dad was a veterinarian and he sold his government practice in Shoal Lake. And then we moved to Gladstone. So I finished my high school there, went off to university in Winnipeg. Then I moved out to Vancouver for a short time, ended up back in Brandon for a number of years, ended up from Brandon in Saskatoon for a good length of time. And then I ended up in Dauphin for a short time, then to Winnipeg for quite a length of time, and then here in Portage for coming up 13 years on May 1st. So a little bit of everywhere.
Now, what were the things that kept taking you away to these other communities?
Yeah, I went to university for recreation, and so I ended up, aquatics was my field of where I worked, and that's what I did for the city of Saskatoon. I trained lifeguards out there, trained swim instructors, was responsible for a number of pools out there. And then I have a somewhat of an allergy to chlorine. And so it was really affecting my health. And so I had to switch careers. And that's how I ended up back in Manitoba.
Interesting. And what brought you to Portage specifically?
Kevin, my husband.
Okay.
Yeah,
Love.
Yeah, love. I was actually I met Kevin in the summer, the year before I moved here, and I was actually moving to the Yukon that fall.
Oh, wow.
I was going to go work for the federal government up in the Yukon. So things changed.
Wow. You chose love over gold.
Chose love over gold. Yeah.
Now, how did you two meet?
We met at Darren Miller's 40th birthday party at Boston Pizza.
Wow.
In Portage?
In Portage. I was married before, and I'd gone through a divorce, and I had some good friends here, including Lori Miller and some other ones, and they wanted me to meet Kevin. They thought we'd be a good match, and they told Kevin that they had a friend that they wanted him to meet, and they kept pushing it, but said, she's just been through this, so give it some time. And so when that finally happened, what I was actually had done is told them that I was moving to the Yukon. And so Janine Fraser and Janelle Botterill, I told them, okay, guys, I'm moving to the Yukon. You have to help me tell Lori and tell her how good it's going to be that I'm leaving, right? Because Lori takes things hard. And so they were like, yeah, for sure, Sharilyn, we'll do that. And then they all flipped on me and they said, forget that. You're meeting Kevin. And the rest is history. So,
okay, this is like a big spider web to me because I know all these people you're talking about.
Yeah.
How did you and I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
How did you become good friends with Lori and Darren where it came to be that they would introduce you to your future husband?
Yeah, so Lori and I actually went to Camp Wanna Come Back together when we were 13. And we were made friends there instantly. Same bunk, whatever. Wrote letters back and forth to each other, that you did in the old days, and did that for a couple of months. Then you ran out of things to say and you didn't do anything. I moved to Gladstone in grade 11, and that's where Lori was, and totally forgot about each other in a sense. And I walked into assembly in the morning, and all of a sudden this person comes marching up to me. I know you. And we've been best friends ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I've spent lots of time in Portage, like with her and Darren over the years. And that's how I got to know Janelle and Janine and all that sort of Mellonville crew over time. Yeah.
Very cool. I did not know that you were married before either. See, I
Yeah.
always learn something new on these podcasts.
I like to call it a Kim Kardashian short wedding, like one of those. It was, yeah. And he was 10 years younger than me. How's that for?
Oh, yeah.
Can't understand why that didn't work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, there's something to be said for an age gap in marriages.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I have a question. In 2018, you ran for city council.
Yeah.
What was your motivation behind that?
I mean, I don't think I can, you guys, it'll be a surprise to you to say that I like to be I'm a solution oriented person, and I really like to see things move ahead. And when I first came to Portage, I didn't work here. I was working at the U of M, and I drove back and forth. And so I did that for a year, and then just couldn't, I couldn't do the drive anymore, but also I never felt really part of the community besides my friend group. And then I started working for Ackland's Granger here. And I really got to know the community and the businesses, because that's what you do. You hit them all. And I became very invested. And at the time, my good friend Brent Buds was on council. And so we'd have lots of discussions, we'll say, on many different things. And so he'd always asked if I would be interested in running for council. And then I sort of hummed and hawed for a long time. And then it's still the going joke, because he then started teasing me. As you know, he's a big tease, started calling me Betty Crocker Big Talker. Like, either you keep talking or you step up and put your name forward. And that's what I did.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a wild story. So just going back a little bit, so you work for Ackland's. Did you work with our former mayor at the time?
No, I didn't. So when I
not.
got hired with Ackland's, James Bolton was the branch manager, and I was hired to be the account manager. And Ackland's Granger, just so you know, is it takes 3 months to get hired to that job. Like, it's a long process as this national company. And really, it was completely out of my wheelhouse. Like, this is not what I did. And how they decided that they would hire me to be their account manager to sell all of the things, they did. And then James ended up leaving, and I was hired as the branch manager. And so I was there. But when the job at Central Plains came, I was on the United Way board at the time, and so involved in the nonprofit world, where my real, heart and wheelhouse is. And this job came open, and I just knew that I knew my time at Ackland's Granger selling all the things got me involved in Portage and gave me the opportunity to get this job here.
Awesome. Who was the former mayor that worked at Ackland's?
Ken Brennan. He was the branch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He was the mayor before. It was Ken Brennan, then it was Earl Porter, then it was Irvin Ferris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, follow up on that, you did your 4 years on council, and then the mayor at the time, Irvin Ferris, was not running for re-election. What made you want to throw your hat in for mayor?
I was definitely encouraged by my council colleagues, right? I think, I really just felt that we had a good thing going on council. And I thought we were really headed, and Ryan can speak to that because we sat on that council together, is that we really were moving forward on things. And I just thought, you know what, I have an opportunity with my current job where they're very supportive, and they know that I'm very flexible in what I do. Might make my time a little limited at times, but that I could help continue to move us forward is what I looked at. Ryan can attest, like, you just don't want, when you got good things going, you want to protect that as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I will say that anybody that comes after you has some very, very big shoes to fill.
Yeah, you set the bar quite high.
Yeah.
No, and I do get that comment a lot about you in particular and our council about the communication piece of everything. Just what is going on with our city. We know you have a fairly large social media following, and you do council recaps. And in the last few weeks, we've engaged with Golden West to do the council recap on the radio on Tuesday mornings following the meeting, and that is very much appreciated by the public, because a lot of people were just in the dark. Unless they went and sought out that information, they wouldn't have found it. Just showing up in front of their face like it does now, and I know they really appreciate it, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, I think the comments, when you get them where you get people who, like, you're right, otherwise when they say, oh, I feel invested because I know a little bit, right? And
right.
It's not as though we're giving them the details, but they feel like they know what's going on. And I always say, I'm a big believer in the more you tell people, the less they can make up. And I hate disinformation or misinformation. So the more that we can tell people, and I say my council recaps, I kind of get a chuckle out of, because I get told by so many people that they watch them, but people don't like you get a few likes, you get a few whatever, that sometimes you're like, is this even worth it? But the amount of people that tell you that they've watched it and seen it and go through it is definitely worth it. And I definitely, the reason that it's sort of my social media, not directly connected to the city, is because I don't edit. I don't I don't make sure my words are perfect or anything. I just try to get the information out there best I can. Yeah.
And you've never spilled your coffee.
Yeah.
No, yeah. That's right. I said it's also so the fact, because I have a mug obsession, that I can just say to Kevin, like, oh, I need a new mug because it's for the city.
I think people appreciate the rawness of those videos, and the fact that people are actually watching them. To be quite honest, I don't think previous to that a lot of people really have sought out the information or paid attention to what's going on. But now they have the information of what's happening with the city in a different way, that's in an easier to digest format. So kudos to you for putting yourself out there and doing that.
Yeah, and I just, it's generational thing too. Hey, like, because I will say, like, Irvin was a great, he's the mayor that I had the opportunity to work with, and he was a great mayor and a great leader and just a great human. And so, people seem to think, oh, well, you're doing more, but Irvin did so much too. He didn't put it on social media. Like, I don't think his son even let him have the password to his social media at times. So it's just different. We do things different. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How many years have you been with Central Plains Cancer Services now?
9. Mm-hmm.
So just looking back, that's how you and I had first met.
Yeah.
I was in a situation with my family at the time, and that's how we had first met. But my question would be, what does Sharilyn do? Because you experience these stories of hope and recovery, and also the stories of sadness and loss. So, what do you do to try to balance those emotions?
Yeah. I actually, when I first started with Central Plains, and I was in the job for, I don't even know how many months, just ticking along, meeting all these people, making sure that they got where they needed to go, and, just moving along and feeling, oh, so good. We're helping all these people. And then in about a 2-week period, 4 of the people that we were working with passed away. And it included one person that I knew, right? That was, and it was interesting because I could feel, I consider myself a very emotionally intelligent person, right? And I could see myself shift and change. And it was sort of right over the Christmas time, and I could just feel it. I could feel the heaviness. I could feel that. And so what I ended up doing was, into that new year, I became what's called a compassion fatigue facilitator, and to understand what compassion fatigue is. And it's really about, you can't give people your best if they're getting what's left of you, right? And so it's really helped me deal with all of those things. And because it can be a very heavy job at times. And I think too that that's just helped, and I've helped other people deal with it too, because all of these type of jobs where you're hearing people's personal stories, and you guys know I've gone through some personal things myself, but it's just like I've learned how to handle those emotions.
That's good. That's important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It is. Now, can we talk about Ditch Lake?
oh yes, we can. Best place on earth, well, besides Portage, second best.
Whoa, do you want us to edit that out?
Yeah.
So how did you end up there?
We ended up there, as you know, our friends Brent and Jody are up there, so we would go visit them. And Kevin and I had sort of been kicking around the idea of either looking for a cottage somewhere or buying a camper. So anyway, we were up there for one weekend, and a bunch of us were taking a nap, and the cottage that we have was for sale. I just call it was a COVID purchase. It was during COVID. You had lots of time to do these things. I tend to be one of those, when big purchases happen, I tend to go through a little bit of buyer's remorse, right? Should I do that? Have I made the right decision? I haven't had one day of that with the cottage, because it's just a nice little getaway. We like to say we got the last best deal on Ditch Lake, because prices have skyrocketed.
Well, maybe the second last.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I find myself in a cottage up there, and unbeknownst to me, a few down from me on one side is Brent Buds, and a few down from me on the other side is yourself.
That's right.
And we almost have quorum within
yeah
city at the time.
We sure
Just
did.
within our few cabins.
Yeah.
And it's like a little piece of Portage Prairie brought up to that area.
Yeah, it's a pretty special place.
Yeah.
So with Central Plains Cancer Services, you recently had a radiothon, 48-hour radiothon.
Yeah.
Let's hear about that. How did that go?
It went fantastic. We raised over $120,000 all in, which is fantastic, from around the region. With the radio, our region's sort of larger than maybe that radiothon hits even. So we kind of count it from Neepawa in, like that diameter, because we have big, we go to Stride Credit Union in Neepawa for live on location. But it really is one of those things that shows the generosity of our community and the people in it and the people around it to be able to do that. I know Travis at the radio station had done some numbers with comparing, say, what a larger radiothon is bringing in and per capita compared to what ours does, and we're like blowing them out of the water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
that's excellent.
It's great, and it's just great to hear people's stories and to see people get involved. And it's great working with Golden West. They do a nice job on it, and it's a long process to get it going and get it done. But I had the idea about 5 years ago, and it took me 2 years to convince them to do it. Okay. And so I think they're happy they did.
Good. Yeah. And do you have any other events coming up?
This year's our sort of, the fall we'll have more things happening. Like we have our golf the golf tournament, you guys.
Yes.
End of August that we're doing again. And then we've got about 3 in the fall that haven't been announced yet. But,
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We have to, it's kind of a mad scramble when the golf gets announced for our council.
It brings me, because so the other day there's a a golf tournament came out, and I'm like, so I send an email and I said, okay, here we go. Send this out. Let's see how fast they can answer. I love it. I love it.
I got in just under the wire.
Yeah.
Preston has alerts on his phone every time an email comes that contains the word golf in it.
Yeah.
We need to call it something else.
Yeah.
So what does Sharilyn do for fun around Portage?
What do I do for fun around Portage? Well, I mean, same thing. I have great friends and family. Do that. I am a golfer. I don't golf as much as I should. I used to golf competitively in my younger days. So one thing that I know about golf, and I always tell myself, is that it will definitely be my real retirement hobby because I really enjoy it. It's just nowadays when somebody tells me that I got to give up 4 hours or 3, it's hard to get my brain to want to do that. I spend time with my dog. Yeah. Sometimes, the hours are a little bit light these days. So.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
So what is something that you can tell us that people would be surprised to hear about you?
What would people be surprised to hear about me?
I mean, I've heard about 10 things during this interview, but you can't use those.
Yeah. I think too, like I do have I read recently that there was a big campaign about girls in sport and becoming leaders, right? How it was a real thing to do. And I mean, in my younger days, I was an athlete. I was my high school athlete of the year. I played all the sports. My main sports were volleyball, basketball in high school. I was the Knights of Columbus free throw champion. There you go. There's something.
That worked.
Yeah. But I loved all sports, and as an adult, golf and curling were sort of the two. I curled 1 year in Portage, and again, something I'd love to get back into, but I just haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time for the hard-hitting questions now, Ryan.
Let's do the hard-hitting questions.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best book you have ever read?
The best book I've ever read, I would say it's a book called Walk Out, Walk On by Margaret Wheatley. And I haven't read it for a while, but I think it's 6 or 7, and it's stories about communities in other countries in different places that sort of went outside the norm in their systems and created real change. And it's just kind of like, I love that stuff. It's like inspirational about how, we don't have to do things the way that we've always done them in order to move ahead. So yeah, I read a lot of books like that. Obviously, you guys know 13 Ways was my the book that
Great
and
book.
that's one of my favorites,
Who's driving the grader?
Who's driving the grader? Exactly. If I don't read books like leadership books like that, then I'm reading biographies or autobiographies. I don't read much fiction. Maybe one a summer if I can get through it, but doesn't always happen.
I am the same.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Favorite movie of all time?
That's a tough question because I have a lot. It really depends. Like there's if I go back to show my age, like I was a brat packer. So like St. Elmo's Fire, Breakfast Club, all of those are movies that I can watch over and over again. I loved, for a little more serious, Shawshank Redemption, but I think everybody says, but it definitely is great movie. I can watch, if it comes on TV or I see it, The Devil Wears Prada over and over again. And then a really good movie that I think everybody should watch is Peanut Butter Falcon. If you haven't seen that.
Never seen that.
Haven't. My daughter talks about it.
It's a great movie. It's good for the heart. That's for sure. Yeah, but there's so many. I don't know how you choose your absolute favorite.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
And I have one more question for you.
Yep.
What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Yeah. I think the best piece of advice that I ever received was when I was first in my role, sort of like management role in a business or in a company, and my I was getting my first performance appraisal by our HR person, who I learned to just grow and respect, this human. But he had told me, he said, Sharilyn, I know you're going to grow in leadership and do well because you don't pretend to know what you don't know. And you ask questions, and like, I think that goes into, yeah, sometimes we got to fake it till we make it, but it's also about having a growth mindset, right? Of like, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna go in there with imposter syndrome and like, just not be open to it. So I've always remembered that, and I always try to tell young people that. And when I have people working for me, like, no question is off the table. I just want people to feel that they can ask it, and they'll get the information they need.
Excellent.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Thank you so much for joining us, taking the time out of your day to come on here and share a little bit of stuff that people probably had no idea about.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
that's what this is all about. We try to get to know some people and get into their history a little bit and how they became who they are today.
Well, I get a kick out of what you're doing here, guys. So I like, I like sharing the stories of Portage. So I look forward to hearing the rest of your guests coming up.
Well, we've got a good 13,000 to go. So
that's right, exactly.
Just wait until, because we, as everyone knows from our intro, which you haven't seen yet, we are filming this in the future, or in the past for the future. So just wait till you see your little 5-minute intro. you got a kick out of what we do. You should wait and see what your 5-minute intro looks like. It's a bunch of nonsense.
I can't wait. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
so much.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.